The season is over, but my goodness, the excitement is just beginning. In case you didn't know, Sergio Perez has been announced as the second driver for Red Bull Racing in 2021. That's the facts that we all are aware about. But have you ever wondered about what the broader impact is of the same and why Red Bull needs Sergio Perez? And moreover, what about the Red Bull Racing Young Driver Academy going ahead? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pits To Podium Special. My name is Soumil Arora, and as always, I'm joined by Kunal Shah. Before we begin, let me introduce who Kunal really is, because this is something that you guys should really know. Kunal is an ex-racing driver. He worked as the marketing head of Force India, now works at the VS Sport Network in Norway as a motorsport consultant. I love to say this every time. He's a man who knows exactly what's going on. And the first question that we have to come down to, Kunal, that's literally on everyone's lips is why Sergio Perez? Now, a look at the points table will give you a good idea that in a supposedly not an underperforming car, but a supposedly slower car, Perez massively outclassed Alex Albon. But Red Bull are clearly looking for a lot more than that, aren't they?
Yes, thank you once again for that introduction, Somil. It's fantastic to be doing this with you, even in the off season, which clearly has sent us all buzzing with Checo Perez being announced as second driver for Red Bull Racing and the likes. But first things first, I and this is what I was sort of digging into, that Red Bull have the knack of making announcements at the most weird times, right? So the Checo Perez announcement came at literally the close of play on Friday. Okay, of course, Mexico would have been wide awake at that time, but close of play within European time. India definitely was closed for any business on that day. But it was similar even for, say, Daniel Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly, and
Yeah.
even Alex Albon's announcements. It came right just at the start or in the middle of the summer breaks that we've usually seen in a regular Formula One season. But I think it's great news for Formula One, great news for Checo Perez, but I would say even greater news for Red Bull Racing, who,
Yeah.
since Daniel Ricciardo's departure, have been doing all they can. And, for, if I could use a harsher word, have been struggling to find a
Yeah.
solid second driver. And here's really hoping that Checo Perez is that solid second driver that they need to boost their championship chances in 2021 if an opportunity comes for them to compete against the Mercedes Benz team.
And because it's going to be Honda's last year in Formula One as a power unit manufacturer for now, at least, they have committed the maximum resources that they possibly can. So, there's that source of confidence behind you. But it's a great thing, isn't it? Organizations need that positive turbulence. You need someone to push you beyond. And apart from Red Bull as a constructors' championship perspective, it would mean a lot for Max as well to have someone in that very car who can go ahead and give him that extra push to get even better. Not that he needs to, but you kind of get a feeling that you can make a driver even better with that source of competition. And from what we've seen in the last few years, Sergio Perez is that competition. He is intense, he's aggressive, he's feisty. One would say that he has a lot more intent than Alex Albon on track without making the kind of, I wouldn't say rookie errors, but say experience errors that he would make. The one errors that you would need to rectify with a lot of time in the sport. I've completely goofed that up, haven't I? But you get the idea in essence. So they are getting the complete package basically. But there's one criticism of saying that he's an old driver, but he really is what Red Bull needs at this stage.
He is, and let's sort of try and list down why Red Bull need him, apart from just obvious point scoring positions that that they would need in 2021. Because listen, we all know Mercedes is going to be as strong, if not stronger, in 2021. But we also all hope, and likewise for Red Bull Racing and Ferrari, that hey, there's something magical that just opens up in our package, in our upgrades, that allow us to take the fight.
Hmm.
And if you are in the fight, you don't want to then be scratching your head saying, oh my god, I should have had another driver
Hmm.
who would have helped me sort of take the fight to Mercedes. So at this moment, they don't have the package, nor do they have the driver lineup. Okay, or when I say at this moment, I of course mean for 2020. But in 2021, they're at least hoping that if they have the package, they definitely have the driver lineup to try and sort of take the fight to Mercedes. And one big example of this also being the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, which unfortunately for Alex Albon was the last race
Yeah.
of the season, right? But he being in fourth position didn't allow Mercedes to have a free rein on strategy and launch an attack on Max for win. And that's what Red Bull needs. And that's probably one of the other reasons why they need a Checo Perez, so that he's able to be closer to Max Verstappen. He's able to be closer to the Mercedes cars that sort of don't give Mercedes a strategic open hand. When it comes to for example, tire strategy during the races. So that's of course a very strong reason. The other seemingly being that Red Bull, who at this moment don't have an engine for 2022, uh, they are probably going to go down getting the Honda IP, and
Yep.
just have their own engine built into their package, and that comes at certain costs, right? And I'm assuming that if Checo Perez's sponsors join Checo Perez at Red Bull Racing, that's an additional boost of income that will happen, that'll allow Red Bull to sort of fund that whole activity. Because listen, not too many manufacturers in these eras, and when I say these eras, I mean hybrid turbo era as well as the ones before, have literally gone down the engine manufacturer route. It's always been privateer buying an engine from
Yeah.
a stock manufacturer. So that's another reason. And then what I've been hearing on Twitter all the time, that hey, Checo Perez opens up a new market for Red Bull, the energy drinks in Mexico. So several reasons that go down to economics, finances, and performances for Red Bull Racing.
It makes a world of difference. Mexico is a huge market, and Sergio Perez at this stage probably has to be one of the biggest athletes in all of Mexico. If you're looking at it from an Indian standpoint, think of it as hiring Virat Kohli. That would be huge. Or if you're watching this video from the UK, probably a more representative standpoint would be think of getting Wayne Rooney as a part of your brand back in 2011 when he was at your very peak. That's the kind of impact that Sergio Perez has right now in Mexico, and getting him on is is big for the brand. People all of a sudden, you're seeing tweets of people saying, hey, I like Red Bull as a brand. Sergio Perez's brother, who's very influential, posting pictures with Red Bull. It just opens up the reach, opens up a big door for your brand. And let's just take our mind back to when Red Bull primarily came in. Their aim wasn't to promote younger drivers in, their aim was to sell energy drinks. Isn't this what they're doing with this right now? Aren't they opening up doors to a new market to sell energy drinks at the end of the day? Works out really well. But uh, there's also there's also the second flip side to any story, as it is with any coin as well. You flip it over, you see something different. And the different thing right here, Kunal, is that driver academies are falling apart at this stage, aren't they? Renault have been criticized for bringing Fernando Alonso in because they spend millions and millions and millions of dollars on so many young drivers, didn't promote them in the end. Mercedes have been under scrutiny for their mismanagement because they simply couldn't get Pascal Wehrlein or Esteban Ocon into their car. Now it's a similar situation with George Russell being at Williams. And then Ferrari, only right now, they're doing a good job of getting all these drivers. Eilert, Schwartzman, Schumacher is the first of those drivers coming in. But again, it's not working out for the Red Bull Academy, isn't it? They're by far and away the most successful one of all the other ones, but this is just stopping the progress of, say, one Jehan Daruvala. Okay, we have a reason for saying that. We're Indians, we know for a fact. Okay, bias aside, even Yuri Whips for that matter, it just blocks off that seat. And then when you come to think of it, okay, how can Alex Albon come back in? It just starts to make it an even more twisted dynamic where you don't even know where the opening routes are for the young drivers because Yuki Tsunoda is in here. Pierre Gasly is probably not going to be demoted unless he does a terrible job, which he quite frankly won't. I can't quite put two and two together. I don't know how it's going to play out. It just seems like every couple of years, Red Bull come up to a cycle where they have too many drivers, and then all of a sudden they have no drivers. Then they panic hire, then they come back to that case. It's just not really working out for them right now.
I think you explained it wonderfully well. It's a part of that cycle where suddenly there is either an abundance of supply or there
Yeah,
is literally no supply. And right now, I mean, Red Bull have indirectly said that there is a lack of supply of quality talent against Max Verstappen, and
which is
that's
true. Yeah.
which is true. And like you said, Red Bull Racing, probably the most successful driver academies that are there. We got the likes of Sebastian Vettel back in time. We got Daniel Ricciardo. We've got now Max Verstappen. I think it's done extremely well, and it's okay for them to sit back and say, hey, maybe we need a couple of years. We need an experienced driver
Hmm.
elsewhere till we groom another youngster to come in. Are we really, putting our youngsters in the car earlier than they've sort of matured enough for a Formula One drive? Several questions, which I'm sure they're,
Hmm.
desperately seeking answers to time and again. And you mentioned the Ferrari Academy. Charles Leclerc, of course, he was lucky enough to sort of get a break and come through.
Yep.
But after a point, I think it's just about getting stuck in a cycle. Either you have too many good drivers, in the case of even Mercedes for that matter, or you're just happy to stick to what you have and keep delivering the same results as they go. But for the Red Bull Driver Academy, and this is another reason on the performance side of things for the Driver Academy, Checo Perez suddenly becomes a new benchmark, against
Yes.
Max Verstappen. It becomes, hey, what can Checo do against Max? And that we can expect the next junior driver to come up through the ranks and be. And, the next junior driver could very well be Pierre Gasly, who gets a call up to Red Bull again, because, clearly they are grooming him even further at Alpha Tauri, as we know. And I don't think that's extremely bad altogether, because, Checo Perez, he has fantastic talents. He's consistent. Like you said, he's you were you were praising him enough a couple of minutes ago. I also feel he's very clinical, and he knows what needs to be done in the car to bring home the point. So a great benchmark against Max Verstappen, and also for Max Verstappen, there's no harm
Hmm.
in being pushed that bit further. And it could very well be that in 2021, Red Bull lose to Mercedes again. They finish second, but they'll at least know if the points gap to Mercedes was sort of reduced in
Exactly.
comparison to 2020, if they get a Checo Perez out there. And again, very smartly, they put Checo on a 1 year contract, so they have sort of kept doors
Hmm.
open either for Checo or for Alex or for Pierre Gasly, or maybe even Yuki Tsunoda, to get the call up into 2022 at Red Bull Racing. So uh, again, one of those very short term moves, I would say, but ones that could have a more longer term implication on Red Bull Racing and their driver academy and their driver choices and so on. And a statistic which has been sort of shared or overshared everywhere is that the last time they hired someone outside of the driver academy was 2007, and it was Mark Webber. And
Yep.
let's admit it, they actually need a Mark Webber to Max Verstappen if they're going to go for the titles in 2021.
Hopefully, they don't send out a message like multi 3311 or whatever it may be. But it's very well put, Kunal. They need that external force coming in and providing that sort of competition, nudging Verstappen further and just providing that turbulence. But who knows, in the long run, could lead to greater turbulence considering the broader picture of the driver academy. Just very briefly before we go, Kunal, on the bigger perspective of driver academies, what do you think is going wrong? Because we've seen every single academy that we're having in Formula One right now just somewhat fail in this perspective, that they have too many people coming in at one point of time. They don't have enough seats, and then they're looking for credible competitors, and they go sometimes have to hire them from Formula E, whether they're taking part in their young driver test, bring them back in, put them in the cycle as a stopgap hire, and then sack them after a season and a half.
Well,
To
we all know you're making a reference to Alexander Albon right there. But,
Yep.
frankly, driver academies are always, always tough. And I know because I started up one for Force India, which Arjun Meni and Jehan Daruvala,
Yes.
were a part of. And, we've seen both of them rise up to the ranks till Formula Two. And, Jehan, like we know, won the last race in Formula Two, right? So it's great for young drivers, because driver academies take care of a lot of training, a lot of experience that you get from the Formula One team, and more importantly, Soumil, you get financial backing
Exactly.
to compete in junior Formulae. But by just being a part of a driver academy, even if you are at the sharper end of the grid in a particular Formulae, especially say for example in Formula Two, doesn't mean you're going to get a break in Formula One. It takes a little more than that. It takes luck. It takes for the fact that a vacancy needs to be available within the 10 teams in the sport. And of course, on a very different note, this also takes me back into, should we have 12 teams racing in
Yeah.
Formula One? are we four cockpits short when it comes to the fastest car racing sport on the planet as it goes along? But that's just how it goes, and I think drivers, junior drivers, would actually be thankful that they at least have a young driver academy
Hmm.
they can all aspire to be a part of, and then hope that it just opens up as many doors as one needs to in the world of Formula One.
Because at the end of the day, not everyone is Nikita Mazepin. Not everyone has that financial backing. But on the whole, folks, good to see Sergio Perez back in. That was our analysis of what could happen, why Red Bull needed Sergio Perez at this stage, and why they got him at the end of the day. But what are your thoughts? That's the one thing we love to know at Pitch to Podium. So make sure that you voice out your thoughts in the comments. We would like to make this a very interactive and engaging platform on YouTube. And thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for watching. As always, Kunal, pleasure shooting this video with you. And see you, folks, for a very special Pits to Podium video where we're going to have the winners of the Grand Prix prediction competition coming up. And you can get to know more about them and how they got to where they did. That's coming up soon. But till then, folks, bye bye.
Thank you, Soumil, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.